Tales from the Island of Todor, Episode 4, Dane's Exploit. Not every tender engine on the island is a rude, aggressive moron. Take 1020, otherwise known as Dane, the smallest tender engine to work on the Handsome Gits Railway. He's a small black tender engine with LNER on his tender and the number 1020 on his cab. He has a best friend named Howen who is actually a one-off build, and you'll be half-pressed to find a more enthusiastic worker. His only problem is having breakdowns almost every single day. But the handsome Git can overlook that. After all, he was an ex-Todor engine, and he, along with Howen, were dirt cheap. Well, back in 1923 standards, back then the handsome Git was not even born yet. What more can a corrupt railway want? This story dates back to the time where Dane pulls a passenger train for the first time in 35 years. You see, Dane was feeling upset that he doesn't pull passenger trains that often, and so Howen asked the handsome Git if he could pull a passenger train just this once. The handsome Git agreed, and so Dane was scheduled to take a small passenger train to the docks and back, but he found it hard to move the three coaches. "Did you see him straining?" said Afton. "It's like my fireman every time he brings the curry to work." "Possibly painful," remarked Alfred. "Entertaining, but painful." "Just pathetic," grunted Dudley. "He should just give up and buzz off to the National Rail Museum in York before he explodes." "Shut up," said Howen. "My best friend Dane could do twice the work that you lot could ever do, and he's more sickly cheerful than you lot will ever be." "You're right there, Howen," said the handsome Git. "Dane may be problematic, but he is really useful. His spot on my railway depends on it." "I done it, we're off! I done it, we're off!" said Dane, and he finally pulled out of the big ugly station when he broke down. "Pshh! I'll get the breakdown coach," grumbled Timothy. Later, after Dane was repaired, he made his way to the docks. The box cab triplets, Clive, Neil, and Matthew, were scrumpled to see the visitors. They hated being photographed. Later, they were meant to take the visitors around in a break van special, but Clive and Neil dumped the vans into the ocean before they could get in. Matthew would have joined, but he wasn't feeling well, as usual. The visitors were most furious, and they couldn't wait for Dane to take them home. On the way home, the weather changed. Rain, hail, and a bit of snow thundered down the island as Dane was puffing down the main line. His wheels were aching, and he wasn't puffing well, but he had to go on. His driver and fireman tried to put sand on the rails to make them smooth. Unfortunately, most of it landed on Dane's face, so it wasn't much use. Then, boom! Something broke. The driver and fireman expected Dane. Repairs took some time until they found out that his connecting joints are broke. "Your connecting joints are broke, Dane," said his driver. "You might run, but you might struggle a bit." "Can you get these people home?" added the fireman. "They'll probably beat us up if we're here any longer." "I'll try, guys," promised Dane. Dane pulled and puffed with all of his might. "Oh, come on. Oh, I can do it. I can do it." But unfortunately, Dane couldn't. Then his driver had an idea. "We're losing the couplings, Dane," he said. "You can still pull, and basically you could do without struggling." "Well, in that case, why do we not do it with our trucks?" asked Dane. Hey, have you got no time for answering questions, you unreliable junk?" said the driver. And so Dane began to move. He pulled and pulled until eventually he got the train moving. I'm doing it, said Dane. Well done, Dane, said the driver. Well done. Dane was puffing happily as he eventually made his way to the big ugly station. Afton was there with the Midnight Express. And by waiting, I mean he was fast asleep and drooling over the tracks. Peep peep! Tired but triumphant, Dane made his way to the station. The handsome Git angrily pointed to the clock, but exciting cheers of all the passengers who were so happy that Dane actually tried to help them. They cheered and thanked him and his driver and fireman. The handsome Git saw the potential of having one of these likeable engine pulling passenger trains and saw to it that Dane could pull passenger trains any time he wants. Dane was so happy. After getting repaired again, Dane made his way back to the sheds. Howard was happy for his best friend, and the other engines remained moodily silent for a long time after.